He represents the mitten by way of Penn State. When Chapman gets to talking sports, the people can't wait. He represents the mitten. Be a true EMU, but cut Dennis in the fall, and his veins bleeding blue. They got respect around the state when that light turns red. So don't sleep on these dudes. Just invite your friends to cut your nap short and tip your cap for and sit back for the Fith chapter. Brian Chapman. Dennis Fith. When they open their mouths, they spit in the facts, bro. This ain't even optional, man. You just have to tune into YouTube to watch the broadcast or download it to your phone to peep the podcast. They mix laughter, they get after. It's all captured in the Fith chapter. That's right, and welcome to the Fith chapter. I am Brian Chapman. He is Dennis Fith, and it's time for episode number 126. And Dennis, a lot of breaking news over the last 48 hours since episode number 125, including Aaron Rodgers airing all the dirty laundry about himself and the Packers. What did you think about that?
I liked it. Man, if you like sports, it's the place to be. Russell Westbrook going from East Coast to West Coast, going back home. That's a pretty big deal. The big name going from the Windy City to the Bronx, man. Pistons, though, big news. It supplants you leaving the Fith chapter. Cade Cunningham looks like he's going to be the pick. So, a lot to be excited about.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the other big news, which we'll get to in the first chapter. The other big Pistons news. But definitely.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. And if you have not heard about this major Pistons news, wait until the first chapter. We didn't even have enough time to put it in tonight's book that you're going to see, but we are going to discuss that as well. Definitely want to thank everybody for tuning in to episode 126. And it's a very special show for a couple of reasons. Number one, we're going to be on live during the course of the NBA draft, not during the entirety of the draft, although it got a little bit longer for the Pistons tonight. But the draft starts at 8 o'clock. And of course, you can count on us for live coverage of at least the start of tonight's draft. But also, it's a big show because it is going to be my final episode of the Fith chapter.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it is kind of sad because we've done 126 shows. We've been doing this since May of 2020. And it's time for a new chapter for me and a new chapter for the Fith chapter. So in the fourth chapter, we'll be bringing in little Brian Jelinek, and moving forward, it'll be little Brian and Dennis Fithian for the Fith chapter. So very, I guess it's kind of a bittersweet day for all of us here on the Fifth chapter.
Yeah, that's right. We wish you well. If you're just tuning in, saying what's Chapman talking about, he's out. He's moving on to greener pastures, and he's checking out. He's leaving us here on the Fith chapter. But like we said on Tuesday, he's got the open invitation to come back anytime, whether it's to run the show or just be a guest or whatever else. Check in on if he finally wins one of his parlay bets that he's been putting out there. I don't expect him to join us on that, to be honest. Odds are we're not going to hear from him, hitting one of those parlay bets. If it hits, he's going to be up
win $50,000.
I don't know. It's one of those things. You've kept it up on Twitter. You show everybody your work. Like, hey, I'm betting these 6 games. I'd never win. But if I do, here's how much I'll win. So.
All right, well, as for what we'll be talking about in tonight's show, we'll get to that in just a second, but want to thank everyone who's watching on YouTube, watching on Facebook, and watching on Twitch, and want to thank those who are listening to the podcast, which is available on Apple, Google, and Spotify. If you are wondering what is going to be taking place during episode 126, let's take a look at tonight's book. And as you can see, In the second chapter, we're getting to the MLB trade deadline. As we can see, Garfield once again, as the Tigers are pretty quiet so far, but the Bronx Bombers.
The Tigers.
Yeah, I don't know about here come the Tigers, but certainly here come the Yankees. We'll talk about those two teams as they get ready for the trade deadline tomorrow. In the third chapter, how about a little same old Lions? What is an acceptable win total for them in the 2021 season? In the fourth chapter, well, we'll be into the NBA draft, and we'll be giving you live updates of what the Pistons are doing at number 1. Have they selected Cade Cunningham? Have they surprised everyone and taken somebody else? Have they traded the pick? And what else the Pistons are doing, and what the rest of the NBA is doing early on in the draft. And then in the fifth chapter, it is the major wager. So it's the last opportunity for me to give you guys some sports betting advice on the fifth chapter. But it's certainly an opportunity for little Brian and Dennis to continue trying to make you guys rich. But Dennis, we'll start off as usual with the first chapter, and that takes us to the NBA draft and really just NBA news in general, because the Pistons have the number 1 pick, and it looks like most of the suspense is gone. And that's because a few hours ago, we got one of those Woj bombs from Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN, who reported that the Pistons had settled on Cade Cunningham as their choice for the number 1 pick. But there was a little bit of a caveat there, as you can see in this tweet that he posted afterwards. Trade offers to move up the board, including to number 1, continue to come. So there's always the possibility that a proposal could blow the Pistons away. But if they're taking the pick for themselves at number 1 tonight, they're taking Cade Cunningham. So a little bit of a caveat there, but we've also got 2 other pieces of news, 2 other breaking Woj bombs that I think we probably need to get to before we get to Cade. And that is, number 1, out in Los Angeles, after getting dumped in the first round by the eventual Western Conference champion Phoenix Suns, the Lakers made a blockbuster move. They're closing on a deal to get Russell Westbrook from the Wizards. The deal is going to be Kyle Kuzma, Montrezl Harrell, and your favorite KCP, a.k.a. KFC, a.k.a. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and either a 2021 first-round pick or 2 second-round picks for Russell Westbrook. And then there's also the even bigger trade Woj bomb that took place in the last half hour. The Pistons are trading away Mason Plumlee and the number 37 pick in the draft to Charlotte for the number 57 pick in the draft. We'll get to the Pistons in just a second, but Dennis, real quickly, what did you think about the Lakers dropping that bomb today and trying to build a big 3 with LeBron, the unibrow, and Mr. Triple-Double Russell Westbrook?
Well, if I was a Lakers fan, I would like it better if they would have tried to get Dame Lillard or tried to go another direction. But, when you consider the pieces there, I like Montrezl Harrell and how he looked for the Clippers last year. But, he was getting DNPs for the Lakers even in the postseason. So whatever it was, when he went from the Clippers to the Lakers, more money or something, it just wasn't the fit there. I mean, he's a good player, but he wasn't fitting into the Lakers' plans. KFC and, I like Kuzma, but I like Westbrook better than either of those players. I'd rather have Russell Westbrook out there, even though he can't shoot. I mean, he's still dynamic. He can still get to the basket. He can still pass and rebound. And, he's not perfect. If he was perfect, he would be able to drop those threes. And then you would say, just bring the championship right to LA anyways. But I like the move for the Lakers. Plus the Lakers, there's no team that likes stars in the NBA more than the Lakers, and they get a star in Russell Westbrook. So I think it's a good move for the Lakers.
Yeah, it is. It's a move that's certainly going to add more star power to the team. But I think that this still all comes down to health. Last year, the Lakers probably would have won the Western Conference had everybody been healthy. And by everybody, I mean their 2 biggest stars, LeBron James and the unibrow, Anthony Davis. But Anthony Davis got hurt as usual and missed the end of the first round series against the Phoenix Suns. And LeBron James was not 100%. So that meant they lost the final 3 games of that series. If Russell Westbrook plays, that'll help them. That'll help them in the regular season. That'll help them to be able to stem any fall that they'll have when one of those 2 gets hurt during the course of the season. But if 37-year-old LeBron James starts to break down during the course of an 82, not 72, but 82 game season, and or Anthony Davis gets hurt again, then it's going to be a heck of a lot more difficult to compete with the return of the Warriors, with the Jazz, who were the number 1 seed last year, with the defending Western Conference champion Phoenix Suns, and with the Los Angeles Clippers. So I think it's a good move. More star power is always better, but the bottom line is, if they're healthy, then they've got a chance, and if they're not, then they're just another Western Conference playoff team.
Yeah, well, you can say that about a lot of teams throughout the course of history. And I know last year, like, you were singing that tune all the time about the Nets. Oh, the Nets, health. Then they got to the postseason. Of course, that was a major factor, so we saw it play out. So, you don't say automatically, like, yeah, that's what everybody's always saying. But, with LeBron's age and everything, and, the way the Anthony Davis street clothes, as he's looked here.
Yeah,
and it's not like Westbrook, the way he plays the game. He's been pretty durable, but the way he plays, you can see him. He ain't getting any younger either. But it's LeBron's. He's not going to be like Tom Brady, and I don't think he's going to play till he's 44. I mean, he's getting close to 40. Does he got 1-2 more runs? Man.
He's got 30. He turns 37 in December. So, I mean, that's getting up there for a guy that plays as many minutes and plays as hard as he is. Plus, he just played a season out of the solar system for Space Jam. I don't know what it's going to be like returning to Earth's gravity and how much trouble that's going to be for his knees. So, but what about the Pistons? Do you make much of anything about this move to trade away Mason Plumlee and the 37th pick for the 57th pick in the draft?
Yeah, I make that. Troy Weaver, don't just watch, Cade Cunningham get picked and then cut off the TV and say that's it for the night. Mm-mm. We saw it last year. I remember sitting back watching the draft last year. However, the Pistons, they were moving all over the draft board. Picks were being made. It was a surprise. It was entertaining. I'm expecting a little bit more of that tonight. What do they've got? 3 in the second round, that kind of ammunition. Yeah. That's ammunition to move up back into the first round if they want it. And we'll see.
Yeah, they had 3 second-round picks coming into today, and now they have a lesser second-round pick going back from 37 to 57. And I think just based on this particular move, there's Dennis's cat. Haven't seen the cat in a while.
I got a dog in here. I got a cat here.
Jeez, you got the whole Dexter Zoo in there.
A little bit. They didn't seem like they were getting along for a second there, and I was like, okay, can't have a fight here.
No, that's not happening.
But move some things around.
I think. Obviously, if Mason Plumlee is gone, then that clears up whatever logjam you had at center. And, first of all, let me say this. Troy Weaver's not done making deals, as we saw last year. He was making deals left and right. It looked like they were only going to have 1 first-round pick, and they ended up with 3. I don't think they're going to end up with 3 first-round picks this year, but who knows? But the one thing I do know is that he's not going to select 3 players in the second round. He had 3 second-round picks, still has 3 second-round picks, cut your nap short, but he's not going to remain that way. He could trade them to get back into the first round. He could trade them so that he could acquire some veterans to help them out right now. But one thing that I do wonder about is they're getting rid of Mason Plumlee, which does suggest that Isaiah Stewart is the bar none 100% starter at center for the Pistons moving forward, because Jahlil Okafor is certainly not a contender to start for the Pistons at center. I believe he's still under contract for 1 year. If not, he's got his contract expiring. One thing that I thought about was if this move was the preamble to the Pistons moving back 1 spot to number 2, not to select Jalen Green, but to select Evan Mobley, who didn't even work out for the Pistons. There have been many reports out there that say that Troy Weaver was very enamored with Evan Mobley and might have liked him more than Jalen Green. And if he can get this big man to join Stewart and Jeremy Grant and get some additional picks and build assets, that might be the move, as opposed to moving back for Jalen Green.
Yeah, that might not be just your hottest take of the night. Might be your hottest take of the whole 5th chapter. I like it. Little preamble move back of,
Weaver makes things.
Yeah, he does. Hey, no, we're just orchestrating this thing. We're, locked in on Cade, unless, and then, hey, here, Woj, here's the latest thing. Oh, but let's slide the little, let's get this Plumlee deal for a second rounder. and then wait a second, preamble for a big move. I like it. I don't think it's happening, but it's an interesting thought. And as I've said since June 22nd, when the Pistons acquired the number 1 overall pick, it's just going to be fun. Going to be fun leading up to today and draft night, because the Pistons are going to be the focus, and Troy Weaver and what he may or may not do. And here we go. Keep it in alive 15 minutes before the draft. I like it.
That's right. So what kind of feedback are we getting?
Well, we are getting some come in here. Let's see. Keith saying the Pistons will try to get back into the first round. That is my guaranteed. What's the deal with Plumlee? So there you go already.
I would not be surprised if they try to get back in the first round, but trading away the 37th for the 57th, meaning I think now their top pick is the 42nd, makes it a little bit more difficult to get there.
Here's Keith, who says Chap is the man. He wasn't sure about him. Just like on 97.1, he admitted not knowing who Chuck Berry was when he passed away. We all let him have it. I wanted him to turn in his black card. Laughing emojis upside down there. You didn't know who Chuck Berry was?
No, I'm not perfect. Sorry.
Did you ever see Back to the Future?
I might have seen it one time, but if I did, it was in the 90s. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, well, Chuck Berry's like featured in that. He's up there. He's the one that's playing the guitar, and then it disappears or whatever. It's been a long time since I've seen it too. So
yeah. Sorry, my memory's not that good when it comes to Chuck Berry and Back to the Future.
And look at this. JFK only knows him. I mean, Jelinek, because of, and I always thought that was Jelinek vaping in that picture. But
hey, people Jelinek's age love to vape. I wouldn't be surprised if he does vape. That would not stun me at all.
No, me neither. Jelinek, true or false? You vape today? Do I have to click him up?
There, we'll put him on briefly. There you go. Have you vaped today?
You guys are absurd. No, I do not do that anymore.
Oh, he did. Well, once you turned 25, that was it?
Yeah, I'm too old to be doing stuff like that. I can't go out back-to-back nights anymore. Can't smoke stuff anymore. Just that's we're like 3 months into quitting.
Wow. Okay.
Nice
well, good.
Nice job.
Just take it one step at a time.
That's all you can do. 3 months. You should be applauded for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, back-to-backs are tough. Back-to-backs are tough. One more from Keith here, talking about the Pistons here and talking about getting back into the first round with that guaranteed. So
here was his other one. He said, yeah, but you didn't talk badly about him, and not knowing who he was the embarrassing part. At least you should have known him before the Back to the Future movie. Whatever.
You know what? He's not accepting his lack of knowledge on Chuck Berry. He's not accepting it.
Are you ready to turn the page to the second chapter?
I am ready to do that. Let's ring the bell for it. All right, and that is going to get us to the MLB trading deadline, which is tomorrow here. The Tigers have some players theoretically that could be moved, but Chapman, I saw that the White Sox acquired a second baseman from the Indians, and I would think that I wonder if there was any thought of going with Jonathan Scope there, because he was a second baseman, who the White Sox acquired. But Scope is still sitting out there. It would seem that he one of 3 or 4, if you're going to stretch it, would be a name that could possibly be dealt before tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think that you talking about could possibly be dealt is where we stand with regards to the Tigers right now, because I would say that it looks like odds are it's going to be pretty dead, pretty silent for the Tigers as we get to tomorrow's deadline. It's been very active for years, for probably over a decade. I mean, if you think about from certainly from 11 to 14, when they won the 4 straight division championships, they were acquiring pieces every year. A couple years before that, they were acquiring pieces. In 15, they were selling. In 16, I think they were buying. In 17, they were selling. And ever since 2017, they've been sellers. So this could be the first year where we don't see anything. I mean, they're not going to trade their rookie of the year candidates in Baду or Haas. I doubt they're going to trade Soto, although contending teams are always looking for bullpen help. Willie Peralta was the guy that a week ago I was hoping they could trade away for something if he pitched well in his final 2 starts, and he got bombed. He went back to typical Willie Peralta, so I guess the time to trade him was 2 starts ago. And it really seems like it's Jonathan Scope or bust, and I think that he stays in Detroit. I think it'll be the first silent trade deadline for the Tigers in a decade.
Yeah, I agree with you. The thing on Scope, his agent is Scott Boras, and what we know about Scott Boras is he likes his clients to go to free agency. So I know a lot of people have talked about, well, either trade Scope or sign him long term. I don't think that's happening. Do I think that the Tigers could go to Jonathan Scope? Like, if I had Scott Boras, I get, getting Scott Boras as your agent. He's been pretty successful at getting big deals for players, of course. So, it's a pretty good idea to get Scott Boras as your agent. But if the Tigers, I wonder if they went to Scope saying, hey, you want to go chase a ring? We're open. I don't know what it's going to be. The Tigers, saying, hey, we're going to entertain a 3-4 year deal. Like, he's going to free agency, whatever it is, because his agent's Boras. So I don't know. You don't want to burn bridges. You just go up to him. Hey, do you want to be dealt or not? And I do think AJ Hinch comes and factors in here. He was big in the Tigers picking up Robbie Grossman on a 2-year deal, and Grossman's been pretty good. Does AJ Hinch would he even entertain if a team was looking for another outfielder? The thing is, you're not really going to get anything for anybody except, the guy you mentioned, Gregory Soto. I mean, maybe Cisnero. He's under control for a long time, but, is any team, really going to be like, yeah, Cisnero? They would for Soto. But Soto, he's it's great to have a 101 mile per hour throwing lefty that you have under control for still 5 more years. So,
how much would other teams pay for that kind of asset? Especially considering relief pitchers typically don't go on to dominate for like a decade or 12 years. Usually they have like a good 2-year, 3-year run. And then you say, whatever happened to this guy? Whatever happened to that guy? Like, there aren't very many Mariano Rivera's out there. So if you can get yourself a couple of top 5 5 prospects from somebody's system and say, hey, this guy's going to be in your team for a long time. And you get yourself like positional players, a top shortstop prospect, a top outfield prospect. That probably would be more valuable than, hey, we got this guy that's going to give us 70 innings a year.
I agree. So I think Soto's the one to watch. I mean, I don't know, Tiger fans, are they like clutching, to the team potentially making a run at 500? I don't think so. But I also think that, the one All-Star that they had, I think, who do you think the Tigers' favorite Tiger fans? Who's your Tiger? How many of them, really like Soto?
I think they're having a little bit of an issue with your microphone. It's getting like a little bit foggy or something in the last 30 seconds. But
foggy.
There. I think now it's a little bit clearer. I think that most fans, or a lot of fans, would say their favorite Tiger would be either Casey Mize or Akil Baddoo, and neither of them have been on a major league roster for even 365 days. So, and those two appear to be very untouchable right now.
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right.
Text. I got an important text coming in.
Dennis is putting the Fith chapter second, but let's see if we can get to some of the feedback coming in right now. Of course, you can do so by sending in your feedback via Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. And how about this? Dennis actually put in death taxes on the Yankees trading players at the deadline. And that's something we also need to discuss, because the Yankees are making big moves. They're 9 games out of the first place spot in the AL East, but I believe they're only 2 or 3 games back, 3 games back of the second wild card spot. There were a lot of people in the media saying that they were going to be sellers at the deadline, and instead they acquired Joey Gallo yesterday, and today they get Anthony Rizzo, 2 big power bats. And, just getting one of them seems kind of strange, but getting 2, that might be enough to get them into the playoffs. I mean, I think that what they really need is for the bats that they're counting on to step up. I mean, Aaron Judge leading the team in average home runs, RBIs, and everything. That's great. But what about DJ LeMahieu? He's a 2-time batting champion. He's hitting 264. That's not good enough. Gleyber Torres under 250. The big one, Giancarlo Stanton, only 16 home runs, hitting 255. Very streaky hitter, goes into these huge hitting slumps, and he's not hitting well right now. If they can get those guys getting to even like 80 or 90% of what they're supposed to be, in addition to bringing in these new guys, then all of a sudden the Bronx Bombers could really be a contender to win it all.
Maybe Al Avila can go get Gleyber Torres now.
Yeah, that's his dream. The other thing is the Yankees need to try to find a way to put some sort of sticky stuff on Garrett Cole's pitching hand, because he took the biggest drop out of all the pitchers once they started enforcing sticky stuff. His spin rate went way down, and all of a sudden teams are just drilling him. Let me see if I can look up his pitching numbers real quick. But he went from being arguably the best pitcher in baseball to this year. He's got a 0.99 whip, which is nice, but a 3.11 ERA. That's like a run higher than it was than it used to be.
Yeah, and for the Yankees, it's one of those things. The evil empire things. There's two guys that, like, I'm a Tigers fan. I don't really like any other teams, but I like Rizzo. Like, he's like seems like a down to earth guy. He went through a cancer bout. As a youngster, somebody who, seems like he appreciates being able to go out there and play baseball. But I've always liked Gallo. So here's two guys, that I like, I'd say I root for, kind of, and now they're going to the Yankees. So that happens sometimes. I know that little Brian Jelinek he doesn't just like the Tigers. He loves Major League Baseball. So he's all fired up about some of these moves, huh?
I'm absolutely fired up, guys. I mean, my Tampa Bay Rays are making some moves. Padres are close, according to Ken Rosenthal, about landing Max Scherzer.
That would be huge.
That would be huge.
You one thing that you have to think about is there's been this big arms race, not just in terms of pitching, but in terms of bats as well. But arms race between the Dodgers and Padres. How crazy would it be if the Padres acquired Scherzer, but all it got them was home field advantage in the wild card 3-game series against the Dodgers, because the Giants still win it?
Yeah, I'm still taking the Dodgers if they're playing that wild card setup. Like, the Dodgers just look unbeatable. However, the Giants are still playing incredibly well too. So I don't really know what's going to happen in the NL West. It's bizarre. And on top of that, the Padres are trying to get rid of Eric Hosmer, who is probably my least favorite player in the league. I hate that dude, but I don't know who in the world is going to take Hosmer's contract. So
not the Tigers, that's for certain.
But oh God, I would burn Comerica Park down if Eric Hosmer became a Tiger. But my question for you guys, going back to the Yankees, who's the odd man out then? Because you got Judge, Gallo, Brett Gardner out in the outfield. Like, I don't know who's playing and who's not playing. I don't know who plays center field for them usually either.
I mean, Judge is not the odd man out. He's the best hitter on their team. Gallo is an all-star this year in the home run derby. They're not trading for him to have him be the odd man out. Stanton can be a DH, and so I think they'll have him in the DH, and then they can have whoever's left playing center field.
So just move Judge to center then and have Gallo play right field?
I mean, you could have Gardner in center.
Yeah, Gardner in center, I think. And you know what? All those guys can DH. One thing about Gallo, he's got a great arm. So you want to get him out there.
Just destroying the Tigers base runners last week.
Yeah, we know that. He can gun him down at the plate. That's for sure.
All right, you ready to turn the page to the third chapter?
I am.
All right, and of course, don't forget, coming up just past the top of the hour, because the draft starts at 8, but of course, they got to introduce the commissioner, and then they've got to say the NBA draft is open, so the Pistons pick is probably not going to come in until about 8:15, but if we get any more...
You're speculating? 8:15?
I'm going to say, I'll say 8:12. 8:12 is when the pick is going to come in, but if there are already updates regarding a trade or regarding anything, whether it's with the Pistons or anybody else, Little Brian will certainly be able to chime in and give us some updates.
I'll take the under, but I think you're pretty close. I was going to say 8:12, so but then I'll take the under.
All right, 8:11, 8:12. We'll see who's right. As we turn the page to the third chapter, that takes us to the same old Lions. And I was reading the CBSSports.com article last week, and it was titled 3 Questions Each NFC Team Must Answer Before the 2021 Season. And one of the questions for the same old Lions was, quote, what is an acceptable win total? And that struck me because in a year where the Lions have a new regime and are projected to finish dead last in the division, maybe dead last in the conference, maybe dead last in the NFL, certainly there aren't many fans that are sitting there saying, well, they've got to win 10 or 11 games or it's just not acceptable. But at the same time, you can't say that if they just go 1-16, that is acceptable either. So, Dennis, what is an acceptable win total for the same old Lions in the 2021 season?
Yeah, well, to me, we get back to what we were saying when this whole thing started. Like, I think it's okay if the Lions just win 2 games this year. I think the range is from 2 to 8. And so then you have to ask yourself, the one thing I've been watching a lot of Lion fans online, and, I thought that we all were under the understanding that this was not the 1 year turnaround with Dan Campbell and everything, that they weren't going to be contenders in the NFC North, and that, they were going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. And that's all right. This is going to be a rebuild. It's going to be like the Pistons. I don't know if you want to use the word tank or anything else, but they're going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. Sometimes, the Dolphins 2 years ago, they ended up winning 5-6 games, and they were trading everybody away, tanking straight up before they went into the season. But then a funny thing happens. The guys go out, play their ass off. You can still win 5 or 6 games. So, but I think the range is between 2 and 8. And I thought a good reminder is what I saw from Dave Burkett, who is the beat writer for the Lions from the Free Press. And he put this tweet out this week. He said, if we're being honest, wins are secondary for the Lions this year behind the development and evaluation of players like Jared Goff and Jeff Okudah. And that's right. You know what? Jared Goff, this is, people, and I've said it myself, they got 2 years to evaluate him, but really this is 1 year to evaluate Jared Goff. If Jared Goff goes out and stinks the place up, the Lions are going to be looking for a quarterback, and they're going to be looking in the draft. And then you have to ask yourself, do you really want 6 or 7 wins, which could put you, anywhere from, picking 5 to 10? Or do you want just those 2 wins that could put you up there and, you might be picking number 1, Spencer Rattler or Howell out of North Carolina. I know that heading into the season, I'm the same way. I don't like rooting against my team, especially in the NFL where things can turn around. But then I think that's a good approach to just say, hey, let's just see what happens in the first couple of games. But the Lions are a 7.5-point underdog against San Francisco. What are they playing? At the Packers, the Ravens, at the Bears and Vikings. And it's a reality. I know August isn't the time people like to hear that they could start out 0-5, but it's going to be a rough start. I'm going to root for them to win the first game against the 49ers too. That's the way I'm going to approach it as somebody that, is from Detroit here, and, put myself in the category as a Lions fan. I'm going to root for the Lions against the 49ers and hope that they win that game. But if they lose that one, and then they go to Green Bay and lose that one, and then, you're talking about the Ravens, come on. I think the tune is going to change really quick, but I think people don't want to accept that heading into the season when they have to play. And it's been like that for a long time for the Lions. Yeah, August is not the time for reality to set in and start talking about, hey, we're going to be one of the worst teams. It's about, hey, Dan Campbell was out there doing down-ups with the team, and everybody was all fired up about that.
And he tried to chew off Jeff Okudah's kneecap and just like, hey, come on, coach, come on now.
I never, come on, like Lion fans, like it was all like, it's crazy, man. Like I was thinking about saying, hey, Dan Campbell's the coach. Like he's not on the team. It doesn't matter if he can do a down up or not. It doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. You said it's team building. All right. I'll buy all that. I'm not going to make too much of it or anything else, but the amount of Lion fans were giving it the LFG and all, people are fired up for football. They like Dan Campbell. Fine. He hasn't lost a game yet. Patricia, if you gave him $1 million, I don't think he could do a down up right now. No. Hey, put me in the same category. I'm not sure I could either. So, I think that's where it's at.
Yeah, look, I don't have high expectations for this team in 2021. When we went through the schedule a few weeks ago, I had my prediction at 3-14. Because the schedule isn't easy. The head coach is unproven. The quarterback is coming off of 2 bad years. And the roster is just awful. That said, 3-14, I don't think is acceptable. 3-14 is not going to inspire any confidence in the organization from the fan base. 3-14 doesn't mean that the team is headed in the right direction. So when I think it acceptable, that's different than what they could realistically do. Like I don't think that 8 games, like you're saying, is realistic. But I think that 2 is more realistic, especially if I think that 3 is what they'll actually get. But I think an acceptable win total is at least 5 wins. And that's exactly what they got last year. Obviously, they would have one more loss because they go 5-12 as opposed to 5-11. But if Matt Patricia was coaching this roster, we'd be talking right now about another 16-loss season for the Lions, or perhaps the first 0-17 season in NFL history. And if the Lions can get 5 wins or more out of this roster, that's progress, and that is acceptable. That's a sign that your coaching staff is the right coaching staff, and they can turn things around when they have more talent. If this team loses 13 games, like in what world is a 13 loss season acceptable when you're not trying to lose all these games? Like I get that, sometimes as a fan you want them to tank, but sitting here on July 29th, if they were to lose 13 games, that is a mark of a disastrous season. And
but you hit on the key, Chapman. You hit on the key. You make a lot of good points, but you hit on the key. If Matt Patricia's not here and Bob Quinn, it's like Troy Weaver. So
they should expect to win more.
It's like Troy Weaver. Troy Weaver bouncing anybody out. It's like, hey, get anybody that was for the previous regime, get them out of here. Everybody was all happy about that. If Hughes and Campbell, anybody, they're just showing the door to the previous regime. And just like Weaver this year, the Pistons, you knew what they were doing. People didn't want, but people loved the art of the tank job for the Pistons this year, because you know what? They played relatively competitive in the games. They'd get into the fourth quarter, they had 5 minutes to go, 1 possession game, then they'd just lose it. If the Lions went out there under Dan Campbell and with Holmes as the GM, and they were competitive into the fourth quarter, they lost, by a field goal here, a touchdown there, bad call there, like we've seen in the past, and they end up, finishing with 2-3 wins. Not all 2-3 win seasons are the same. And if you get a free pass when you're a GM, and you know what, the blame is going to be on Patricia and Quinn still, because it'll be like, look at this garbage team that these guys were left for. What do you expect?
I'm not expecting much, but I'm just saying, if the coaching staff is better than last year's coaching staff, and you expect that last year's coaching staff would have this roster going like 2-15, then this roster, under which you would assume or you would like to believe is a better coaching staff, should not also go 2-15. That can't be acceptable, because if you want, the roster isn't any good. We all get that. But sometimes if your coaching scheme is good enough, you can pull off some upsets. The way the Lions are going to win games is by pulling off upsets. Now, I'm not saying they go on a run and they have like 9 upsets, or they sweep the Packers and they're beating the Chiefs and all this other stuff. But I'm saying, like, if you can't come out with a 5-12 season, then that should be unacceptable.
The answer, we go to some of the feedback here as we wait to see. The Pistons are showing Cade Cunningham, taking a look at him. Let's see, he's got the black suit, and I don't know who that's with. His sister, daughter?
He has a daughter. His daughter is 2 years old.
Well, that's her. That's I'm going to guess that's her, because I haven't seen her face, but she's got hair similar to Cade. Oh, she's cute. She is a cute kid. She's sitting there on Daddy's lap, and then we're getting ready to see if he's going to be selected or not. So we'll stay there. Beth will read some of the feedback here about the Lions, asking if we know what Bob Quinn is doing. I often ask myself that question over the last 4 or 5 years.
What's interesting? Bill Belichick was very quick to rehire Matt Patricia, and it looks like he might be being groomed to be the next head coach. Bob Quinn was not retained or was not rehired by the Patriots. It seems like nobody wants him. Like I don't have a high opinion of either individual, but I have a higher opinion of Quinn, who at least went to the playoffs 1 year in his first year, than I do Matt Patricia.
All right, we do have the commissioner heading to the podium.
In the 2021 NBA draft, the Detroit Pistons select Cade Cunningham.
There you go.
All right.
It is official. Detroit basketball's back.
That was a little intrigue there. There we go. A lot of people could.
Where was the intrigue?
Well, there was until There was for me. Like I thought all along, 95% chance that they're going to take him. But, there was always, Danny Ainge. There was a chance.
Here's the thing. There's still a chance because it could be the Pistons or the Rockets take Jalen Green or the Rockets take Evan Mobley. And then right before the pick or right after the pick, you got Woj coming up there. Woj coming up there and say, just so you guys know, I am reporting the pick is not going to be going to the Houston Rockets. They have engineered a trade with the Pistons, so the Pistons are going to get 4 first-round picks. That's going to happen throughout the night. Maybe not with this pick, but certainly with other opportunities. But Cade Cunningham here, that's the deal as we turn the page to the 4th chapter.
Yeah, and that's it. Cunningham, you know what? Black on black. He's putting the red, white, and blue hat on, and it doesn't look like the back of the day, like with Steve Francis when he got picked by Vancouver. It looked like he just ate a bad tuna fish sandwich when he walked up there. You knew that he didn't want to be with the franchise. Here he is being compared to Luka Doncic and Chris Middleton. If he was a blend of Middleton and Doncic, those jerseys are going to be selling like hotcakes.
Well, I know, I believe it was Mike Schmitz of ESPN was saying that his floor is being the next Chris Middleton, and his ceiling is being the next Luka Doncic. Oh, I know he said that yesterday. So
that's a nice floor and ceiling.
Yeah, I love that.
I would say so too.
Don't even entertain the idea of the Pistons trading away Cade now. Like I can't handle that. Just give me Cade.
No. Look. I am pleased that the Pistons have Cade Cunningham, but I would be more pleased if the Pistons traded for either Mobley or Green, preferably Green, and got extra stuff. Like I was thinking of an analogy earlier today. It'd be like, and you might be too young to appreciate this, little Brian, but this might be like back in the 90s if on Christmas Day you unwrapped a Nintendo 64 with GoldenEye. That's an awesome combo. But what if you had the ability to trade your Nintendo 64 with GoldenEye for a Nintendo 64 with Madden, with Super Mario Brothers, and with another unknown or question mark video game? I'd rather have those other 2 games that I know of and another question mark or a future video game.
I'm going to break in there because here's Malika Andrews with Cade Cunningham. Let's see what he has to say about the Pistons, courtesy of ESPN.
To be in the moment, like words can't really explain the emotions. You know what I'm saying? It's everybody's so happy. My family's all here. To be able to spend this moment with them, it's a blessing.
You've said that your mom, your dad, and your daughter, they push you to strive. And if you strive, you'll achieve. What does it mean to share this achievement with them?
I mean, it means everything. Like, I know my name was the first name called, but, I didn't do this by myself. I feel like I have number one pick family, honestly. I have a blessed, supporting system. I can't even talk right now. I got so many emotions going on. I'm just so happy to be here, and, I'm ready to see what I can do at the next level.
You achieved a dream tonight, and you're getting to share it with your daughter, Riley. What do you want that to model for her?
I just want to show her what hard work does. I think that's the biggest thing. I want her to grow up and hear, what her dad has before her.
His daughter couldn't be any cuter. All right, well, there's Cade talking here. What do you think, Chap?
Hey, like I said, this is an exciting day for the Pistons. You think about what their lineup is going to look like, and I mean, this is what the lineup is going to look like as of 8:13 p.m. on July 29th. As of 9:13, we could be thinking multiple different things because Troy Weaver is not done making deals.
He's putting the shades on. Hold on, let's see what he's saying here.
Detroit Pistons, I'm all the way in. Let's do it. There you go. So, I mean, look, when you listen to him speak, when you have been listening to him speak about being a Detroit Piston over the last week or so, when he went to Comerica Park and there was the chant, "We want Cade, we want Cade," the 9,000 fans or whatever that were in attendance saying, "We want Cade." That makes you feel good about the pick. When you hear that he embraces the attitude of the people in the city, when you hear that he's been listening to Detroit rap music to get himself prepared for a move to Detroit, it makes you all excited. And so I'm excited too. He's the best player in the draft. I think it's by a small margin, but I'll take the best player in the draft, and I'm not going to complain about it. And like I said, by 9:13. We could be looking at a different potential starting lineup than we're looking at right now at 8:13 or now 8:14. But at 8:14, think about the potential for the starting lineup this year. At point guard, Killian Hayes. At shooting guard, Cade Cunningham. At small forward, Sadiq Bey. At power forward, Jeremy Grant. And at center, Isaiah Stewart. None of these guys were on this roster 365 days ago. Now, that's not a roster, especially when you think about the bench that the Pistons have right now, which sucks. That's going to get you into the top 6 to lock up a playoff spot. But that should be potentially enough to have you at least competing for a play-in game berth. And the play-in tournament is coming back for the 2021-2022 season. So I'm excited about that. And we'll see what else Weaver does. But as of right now, I'm very pleased with the pick. I'm very pleased with the direction of this team.
In the 2021 NBA draft, the Houston Rockets select Jalen Green from Merced, California.
As expected.
Yep. I'll give it up. Sweet hair, sweet suit. He's got a gray pinstripe.
Wait till you see Jalen Suggs suit.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, wait till you see Jalen Suggs suit. He's going to go forward to the Raptors.
What's the is glitter pinstripe, gray pinstripe suit? The white is pinstripe, but it's glitter.
You
Right?
talking about for Green or for Suggs?
Green, there it is right there. It's sweet.
Just wait till you see Jalen Suggs. That's all I'll say.
What
are you guys thinking with regards to the Cade Cunningham pick?
Oh, I'm ecstatic. What are you talking about? This is the first time in my lifetime, if you count Matthew Stafford going number 1, but this is like the first round pick, first overall pick I've ever witnessed.
You're comparing this to Stafford?
I'm not comparing it. It's the only first round pick I've ever seen. All right, I'm stoked.
First over, okay.
Yeah, this is the first overall pick I've ever seen. I'm ecstatic. I think that Jeremy Grant's for sure on the team next year, and after that, I really have no idea who else is going to be there.
Well, you know what we talked about? We have talked about it since the going to work Pistons, since Joe D decided to break them up. It's like, don't let them get old. They gave him a shot against the Celtics, gave him a shot against the Cavs, and ultimately, it's like a trade away. And they traded Chauncey for Iverson, and then it was like, how do you construct a team? And it was the idea, like, you got to get a superstar. There's only been, when you look at teams that have won it all, the Pistons are the last team where you just had a group of guys that didn't have the superstar. It was more the sum of the parts kind of deal there. Now, how you go about getting one, we saw that, what the Raptors were able to do. They got Kawhi. They didn't draft him, but, Kawhi was drafted 15th. We just seen it with the Greek Freak. He was drafted 15, but it's really hard to go out there. The Pistons had that shot at Donovan Mitchell just a couple of years ago, and they took Kennard. We know what happened there, so that was a near miss. But the best way to get that player to take it to the promised land and to get you're trying to get an all NBA player, trying to get a superstar, is to be at the very top of the draft. So they have a shot. So it just means promise for the franchise. It really energizes the team. Since June 22nd, the Pistons went to really mostly an afterthought in this town to vaulting up to be like number 1. I mean, there's legit excitement and there's good reason. We've been waiting for it. We got it. And in a lot of ways, this is it's just the beginning here. But being able to get the player, that is half the battle.
Yes.
So I know that kind of
they
sounds
tanked like a no limit soldier, and it paid off.
So
yeah, now he's got to go out there and prove it. We're waiting to see that. I would imagine we'll have a pretty good feel.
The Vegas Summer League starts in a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
that's must see TV
for sure. And how he plays his first year. I look at the Greek Freak. The Greek Freak wasn't an all-star till his third year. So, but I do think like Chapman. I know like you're a number 1 overall pick. He's going to be expected to win Rookie of the Year, be an all-star, and be a superstar in his first year. And I get those expectations too. It doesn't mean that he's going to be a bust if he's not a superstar right out of the gate. You get a little bit of a free pass in year 1, but I do expect to see something from him. And then after that, it's surrounding him with the players. I mean, you only have this window, all this stuff about let's go get Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. I mean, he's been in the league 4 or 5 years.
Well, they kind of started surrounding him last year. They didn't know they were going to get the number 1 pick. When you think of Isaiah Stewart and Sadiq Bey, those are complementary players who hope turn into very good complementary players. And we'll see what they do with the 3 second-round picks that they have. If they can use that to acquire another very good complimentary player or a disgruntled star or something like that. Maybe Bradley Beal wants to be traded now that he's all alone in Washington, D.C. And although the Pistons don't need a shooting guard right now, but they have a piece, and now they have some complimentary pieces. They've got to add some more complimentary pieces that can be sure things.
So with Cade, let's say Cade just goes off this year as one, like an all-star, first team, all rookie, whatever. If that happens, does that make Detroit a destination for free agents then, with that, having this young, unbelievable stud superstar kid on our team now?
I think so. Sorry, go ahead, Chapman.
I was going to say, if the team sucks, if he's an all-star putting up 20 points per game in his first year, which is great, but the team goes out and is 18-64, you have to wonder, well, how could they go 18-64? The only way they could do that would be for Bay to suck, Stewart to suck, maybe Jeremy Grant, the injuries that he had at the end of this past year, they were pretty much ignored because Pistons fans were excited that he wasn't playing so that he could tank. That would hurt the team's image to free agents. I mean, if he wins the Rookie of the Year and he leads the Pistons to a 7 seed in his first year and they win a couple of games in the playoffs, then that makes him a heck of a lot more of a free agent destination.
Yeah, look at it. Like look at Doncic right now. You know, they thought Porzingis was, his, Batman and Robin, that kind of thing. You're looking for that, the Pippen to the Jordan or the Middleton to the Greek Freak. I mean, there was a part about the playoffs this year where people are saying, hey, maybe the Greek Freak's the secondary player there. Getting the superstar is the hard part. Everyone's trying to do this. So this is why it's such a great it's a great thing, because that's what he represents. Cade Cunningham represents being that superstar. That's the hardest thing to find. That's the hardest thing to get. That's the idea. If you're picking number 1 overall, Chapman said it, last year, putting those surrounding players around him, players that are coming in that you drafted here. Like, I like Bay and I like Stewart. I don't think either of those guys are superstars, but could they be pieces of a championship team? Absolutely. The next thing is that to find that guy who would be the complementary player to Cade, because he can't do it all by himself.
What about Hayes? I mean, Hayes still has a lot of question marks around him. He had the injury last year. He was looking like a bust before he got the injury, was arguably the worst player in the league. And when he came back, he was better. Like when we talk about the Summer League, I'm not sure if Stewart or Bay are going to be on the Summer League team. We know that Cade Cunningham will be, but Pistons fans need to look at the other part of that backcourt and Killian Hayes. Like, is he going to go out there and get clowned by Jalen Green? Is he going to go out there and get clowned by some of the other rookies? Or is he going to go out there so that he's got a decent jumper and show that he is not going to be in the NBA Summer League next year because he's ready to be a significant contributor and a real starter in his second year in the league? He's very important. I mean, you don't just draft somebody 7th overall and say, well, if he's a bust, it doesn't matter because of what we did at 16 and 19. No, you want that 7th overall pick going into his second year to hopefully become an all-star, but at least an unquestioned starter for years to come.
That trade was finalized. Russell Westbrook is going to the Lakers.
Also, the Cavs pick is in. They take Evan Mobley from USC. Chapman,
I think the draft really starts at 5, assuming the Raptors do what's expected and take Jalen Suggs at 4.
Yeah, I agree with you. But, I think that there could be a part here where somebody could move up now that you do have Suggs there. So you keep an eye on that particular part.
On top of that,
go ahead.
I was going to say Indiana has acquired the 31st pick from Milwaukee. Sources tell ESPN.
Well, I was also going to say we have a little bit better footage of what took place just a moment ago on ESPN when the Pistons were announced to having the number 1 pick in the draft. Here is how it transpired just a minute ago on ESPN with a little bit bigger screen for you guys to all see.
Let's see. I can see it, but I can't hear it. Can you hear it, Chapman?
Oh, you can hear it? All right, let me
It was all good, so I couldn't hear it.
All right, let me try and redo that for you guys.
I'll answer Beth's question. Do you think Cade will put butts in the seat at the LCA? Yes.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to get rid of this Luke Kennard jersey for a Cade Cunningham jersey now.
Yeah. Right. Do we know what numbers Cade's going to be?
Not number 11, not number 4, not number 3, not number 32.
What number
is 2
was
available?
He
he was number? 2 at OKC. Or Oklahoma State, excuse me. Is 2 available for the Pistons? I have no idea.
Probably. All right, let's try it this time with some sound.
With the first pick in the 2021 NBA Draft, the Detroit Pistons select Cade Cunningham from Oklahoma State University.
Nice job.
Big hug from his mom, Carrie. The love from his dad, Keith.
With the first pick.
So there you go.
Chuck Daly. Chuck Daly is
for his 2 championships.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he couldn't wear number 2 either.
No.
Number 5.
Here's the next question for the Pistons and for Pistons fans, because we've already seen 2 moves today. The first being trading down 20 spots just to get rid of Mason Plumlee. The second move being the acquisition of Cade Cunningham. When you look at the 3 second-round picks that the Pistons have right now, I believe it's that 42, they got 57, and they've got 1 pick in between there. What do you anticipate the Pistons doing, and what do you hope the Pistons will do with those 3 picks? Because I find it highly unlikely that Troy Weaver is going to want to add 3 more second-round picks.
The Toronto Raptors select Scotty Barnes from Florida State.
Whoa. That's a bad pick.
Why do you say it's a bad pick?
Before we get to answering my question, that Scotty Barnes, like he's another one of these Florida State guys who was the 6th man. He wasn't all that great when he played against Michigan. Like Franz Wagner shut him down in the NCAA tournament. Like I never understood all this hype about Scotty Barnes going potentially this high. Like when I saw a week or 2 ago, the mock drafts were having him go in the top 5 over Jonathan Kuminga, when for months everybody knew that Kuminga was the number 5 pick in the draft, and then there was this drop off afterwards. I didn't understand it, and now him going up ahead of Jalen Suggs, like Suggs, if it wasn't for the top 3 guys in this draft, who a lot of people think are superstars, would be a number 1 pick in this draft. And now you got Scotty Barnes, a guy who doesn't have much of an offensive game. I don't think he averaged even 10 points per game at Florida State, going over Jonathan Kuminga and over Jalen Suggs. This is a bad move. This is I don't like this. And I'll tell you what, if you are Orlando sitting at 5, if you are Oklahoma City sitting at number 6, and even if you are the Golden State Warriors sitting at number 7, you got to be licking your chops, because the first 2 of those teams is guaranteed to have the opportunity to select Kuminga or Suggs. And if one other team makes a stupid decision, the Warriors could get even richer by getting either Kuminga or Suggs. Any thoughts on that?
They would have to be, right? I mean, Golden State and Orlando would have to be, right, to get to land Suggs. It's a no-brainer, I think. I mean, everything I've been reading today has been saying Suggs is going to the Raptors, so I have no idea what happened there.
Yeah, they obviously evaluated Barnes as better, and I just don't get that. I mean, I know they have Kyle Lowry, but I mean, Jalen Suggs. Kyle Lowry's 35 years old. He's not going to be there forever, and I think Lowry's a free agent.
Yeah, I thought it was a 4-man draft, so seeing Suggs fall out of that is a huge surprise to me. You know, Bart is this guy's a nice project, but you know, compared to Jalen Suggs, I'll go to the table and say that Suggs is going to be a better player than Scotty Barnes. I mean, they're going completely on the size and the potential here over a guy that you saw out there as a proven player. So it's a really shocking pick when you're going with somebody and going out. Now, if they got some draft compensation, like we were talking about with the Pistons, like, you know, if they were getting shipped a future number 1, and that's why they're taking Barnes here and you know, they're relaying Suggs somewhere else. Let's see. But if this is just a pick,
they just picked him.
Well, like you said, sometimes you pick the guy, but then you're moving him on in a deal, right?
Yeah.
So let's see. Maybe they've made it. Maybe they've made a deal, but as it stands right now, it's a bad pick.
Yeah. All right. So what do you guys think about? Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Chap. Scrolling through Twitter today, I saw that. I'm not sure how much sizzle there is to this, but Pascal Siakam's upset with Toronto. I'm not sure what that's going to deal with. I have no idea if that's true or not, but I want to see what's going to happen.
There have been. I remember seeing some stories about how maybe Siakam could be traded away to a team like the Warriors who want to win now. They've got the 7th pick. They've got the 14th pick. Some suggest that they might not want to hang on to James Wiseman. And if they got 7, 14, and Wiseman, I would think that would be enough to trade away James Wiseman. Trade away Pascal Siakam. And the Warriors could say, hey, we've got our big 3 back together. We've got Siakam to make it a big 4. We're ready to win the title again and continue our dynasty.
Yeah, I got a couple of ideas, as far as the Pistons go into the second round. Yeah. Just as players, this past year, I'd put myself in the category of watching a lot of Big Ten games, and so familiar with the game of a lot of the Big Ten players. But also somebody that I saw Michigan take on in, the second round of the NCAA tournament, and Cam Thomas. So he's not projected to be a second rounder, but somebody that you can look at that could be potentially that they could move up late in the first round and grab. I like the idea there. And then the shooter from Ohio State, Dwayne Washington, I like him. I like Isaiah Livers, and I like Joe Wieskamp. I know there are some people that don't like the comparison to Duncan Robinson, saying, hey, it's lazy. They're just 2 white guys that, shoot from outside. But you know what? They're very similar, right? Similar build. They do play in the Big Ten. And I do think their games, when I watch them, they, they're similar to me. So, I like Wieskamp, Dwayne Washington out of Ohio State. I like Isaiah Livers out of Michigan. I'd like to see the Pistons move up if after 25, if Cam Thomas is going to still be on the board. And coming up, I'm betting that he's not going to be. I would like to see the Pistons go in there, move up, and see if they could grab him. I would like that selection.
Little Brian?
I think it's a solid move. Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I just have no idea what they're going to do in the second round.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to drafting Livers, I don't think that they would take him before 57 because some mock drafts don't even have him picked in the top 60. So, and I think there are some mock drafts. I don't think that they would take Wieskamp before number 57 either. I like the idea of trading up for Cam Thomas if he's available. I don't think he's going to last into the 20s. And if he is, he's not going to last deep into the 20s. And if so, they'd have to trade way up to get him from like number 42 or whatever it is. I don't even know if all of their 3 second-round picks would be enough to trade up to like number 22 or 23, unless there's a team out there that has a first-round pick that just doesn't want to pay a player and just says, we don't want guaranteed money going to somebody. Give us your second-round pick so we can get out of luxury tax issues, get out of having to pay a first-round pick money.
Yeah, well, Chapman, not to run you off the show or anything, but we're going to treat, this next segment like Megatron's going to keep Rod Wood, man. We're just going to move this thing along and get to the major wager.
Okay, let's do it. And, of course, that's the opportunity for us to give you some sports betting advice. Of course, sports betting is legal in Michigan, and it's been legal via sports betting apps for a while as well. Uh-oh. All right, so he's going to the Magic. So I wonder what that does for Markelle Fultz's future, because he's had some injury issues when healthy. He's started to get a little bit better, but now they've got Jalen Suggs. I guess they need a backup point guard. But it is time for the major wager. We'll start off with Little Brian. Remind us what you picked on Tuesday and what you're thinking about for tonight and or this weekend.
All right, so on Tuesday I picked U.S. Olympic men, or a man for the U.S. Olympic team will win gold for golf. And as of right now, it's Patrick Reed, Xander Schauffele, Colin Morikawa, and Justin Thomas. All of them are at least 5-6 shots back right now, so that's tough. But just give it to me. I need one of them to win gold. And then tonight, a little plug: Annie Laser is swimming in the 200-meter breaststroke. Birmingham Groves grad, fellow alumni. Let's go, Annie. She's a plus 1,400 to win gold, so let's go for that.
Yeah, but you're only picking her because she's your best friend and she dumped you when you were trying to take her to prom, not because you actually think she's going to win.
Okay, I just have zero rebuttal to that because that's just not even remotely true. She was like 4 years older than me. I mean, that was just incredibly out of left field, but go Annie Laser, Birmingham Groves. Woo!
One thing Laser was against was any kind of e-cigarettes or something. I saw an interview on her. So,
That's
why Jelinek didn't have a chance with there.
I am so happy you're leaving the show, Chapman. I am so ecstatic that you're leaving now.
Yeah, as far as my pick last week, I've been looking at the futures. I took the Titans plus 1,400 to win the NFC or to win the AFC. And I took the Seahawks plus 1,000 to win the NFC. Today, I've got a couple prop bets that I jumped in on the NBA. I think you could still get in there. One, I've got Cam Thomas, who I talked about the Pistons trading up. I can get plus 1,000 if he goes into the top 10. I'm betting that $1.
Whoa!
So we'll find out in a couple picks. That's a plus 1,000 to see that. Chris Duarte is 14.5, the over and under, the outstanding guard from Oregon. I love his game. I think he's going in the lottery. So I picked, that he would be selected before the first 14 picks. And then Io DeSumo out of Illinois, 26.5. Where he's going to be selected. I took the under on that too. So DeSumo under 26.5, Duarte under 14.5, and then plus 1,000, Cam Thomas to be picked in the top 10. We'll find out where he goes here shortly.
Hopefully you only bet the $1, like you said, as opposed to trying to turn $100 into $1,100. Because I'm not all that confident about your Cam Thomas pick, but I hope you win it.
Thanks.
As far as my final major wager on the fifth chapter.
Wow, final one.
Yeah. But before I give that, on Tuesday, I took Team Iran plus 39.5 against Team USA in Olympic men's basketball. And now I hate Iran because Team USA won by 54. They played like they were supposed to play. For my final major wager as a member of the fifth chapter, I'm going back to Olympic men's basketball, and I'm going to use the transitive property. How am I doing that? If Team France beat USA by 7 and USA beat Iran by 54, then when France plays Iran on Friday at 9 p.m., the transitive property of basketball says that France should be a 61-point favorite over Team USA. Before I tell you what the line is, Little Brian, what's your guess? How much of a favorite is Iran over? Is France over Iran? You think it's 61? Do you think it's lower?
I would assume it's 61, right? I have no idea.
35 be my guess.
I don't know, like 40 something, somewhere in the 40s.
Dennis, you were a lot closer. The line is France favored by 28 points. So I looked at that and I was thinking that France is going to win by more than 28. They're going to win by at least 35. So I'm going to go alternative spread. France minus 34.5 at plus 210. Iran sucks at basketball. They'll lose by at least 35. You throw some money on that, you can get very rich very quickly.
Sometimes this is the I like the bet, but sometimes when you haven't played against NBA stars or that kind of great talent, Iran doesn't have any players that are in the league or anything. You run into the buzzsaw. But then that prepares you for the next game because you're used to the pace a little bit more. But I still like the bet, Chap, and I'm with you because I said I thought they would win by 35. So nice pick.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, Chap, so long. It was great having you on here again. We hope to see you one other day. Congratulations. You did a good job here. We'll be using a lot of your ideas, your music, and everything else. But for the final time here, for Brian Chapman and for Brian Jelinek, we say so long. Thanks for watching the fifth chapter. Good night.
Yep, it's been fun. And I thank all the viewers and all the listeners out there. Make sure that you continue to support the fifth chapter with Dennis and Little Brian.
Chapman, thank you for the amazing opportunity.
Yep, you're welcome.
He represents the mitten by way of Penn State. When Chapman gets to talking sports, the people can't wait. He represents the mitten. Be a true EMU, but cut Dennis in the fall, and his veins bleeding blue. They got respect around the state. When that light turns red, so don't sleep on these dudes. Just invite your friends to cut your nap short and tip your cap for and sit back for the Fith chapter. Brian Chapman. Dennis Fithian. When they open their mouths, they spit in the facts, bro. This ain't even optional, man. You just have to tune into YouTube to watch the broadcast or download it to your phone to peep the podcast. They mix laughter, they get after. It's all captured in the Fith chapter.